flying cat wants you to have an awesome day. TIFU by pretending to be deaf for the entire quarantine. So, 3 months ago, or whenever it was, that the quarantine started, I started an online course for a few subjects. To provide some background, these aren't my school classes or anything, and I've never met these people before. There are maybe 10 other kids in class and the teacher is actually pretty great. So the first 2 days go pretty well, but on the third day I duck up big time. We were in between a physics class that had already been going on for an hour and I'd completely gotten distracted halfway through. I have an incredibly low attention span and this was already too much for me. When the teacher called my name to answer his question, I had no idea what he'd been talking about, so I tried to Google it. However, I have shitty internet, so it took like really long to load and the teacher was getting pissed as to why I wasn't responding and why I was typing. So, completely freaking out, I decided to text him on the Google Meet chat and make an excuse that my laptop's audio and microphone are not working today and I've been reading the subtitles which take quite some time to load, so I hadn't quite gotten his question. In my immense panic I phrased this somewhat vaguely and said, "I can't actually hear, I've been reading the subtitles, they take quite some time to load." To which the instructor said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't aware that you are deaf." In my intense panic and anxiety I just went along with it. Dumb as duck. It actually worked out fine. I'd type out all the answers sent to me and even bought a hearing aid that I sometimes wore in class. Now I say sometimes because I don't actually have the focus and commitment to remember to put it on every class. When asked about it, I told the people in class that even with the hearing aid I can't hear much, so I don't usually bother wearing it. They bought it. Everyone in class likes me a lot now too, and they find me very endearing. There's a girl, Carla, who says I have the most beautiful smile she's ever seen. So this was actually going really well for me. But like most of my antics, this backfired on me big time. When I made this godforsaken decision all that time ago, I was sure I'd get away with it. We were never going to meet IRL. However, about a week ago the instructor decided to meet IRL as the lockdown in my country has been lifted. I spent all night watching videos of deaf people and trying to figure out how to behave. I decided to pretend to also be completely dumb, so I wouldn't have to try to speak like them. It seemed very hard, and I didn't want to try. So anyway, we meet up and everything goes well. No one uncovers my secret or anything. I spent the entire IRL meet with Carla, who is completely ducking stunning in real life. She's smart, she's funny, she's kind. We keep handing each other notes on tissue papers and it's the cutest shit ever. I haven't ever been this attracted to anyone in my entire life. Toward the end of the meet, however, Carla hands me a tissue paper with one little heartbreaking sentence on it. "Will you date me?" Duck. Panicking, I tell her I need some time to think, and she's chill with it. I'm supposed to be meeting up with her tomorrow. I can't pretend to be deaf and dumb while dating her, it's ducking impossible. But if I have to keep this charade up, I'll have to let her go, and I don't want to do that either. There's also the other option, where I tell her it was all an act. Best case scenario is the extreme embarrassment plus amazing girlfriend, and the worst case scenario is she thinks I'm an asshole and I lose her anyway. TLDR, I pretended to be deaf because I wasn't paying attention in class and now I might be missing out an amazing girlfriend. Edit, she just texted me what time to pick her up. The date is actually tonight, not tomorrow, so I have way lesser time to make this decision than I expected. Haha, I'm like a disaster that keeps on happening. Anyways, you should have an update in about 6 to 7 hours, which is when I'll meet her. Update. So this is the update you'll have been waiting for. I just got back from the date with Carla. So basically I prepared really hard for the date, googled what the appropriate flowers for apologizing for your lies are, and got her white orchids. I then put on my best clothes and set out. She'd come to the date with a cute little notepad and 2 pencils for us to write notes in, which melted me instantly, but I was so anxious and nervous that at first I couldn't bring myself to tell her. But as we sat waiting for our order to arrive, I kinda snapped cause of guilt and scribbled down into the notebook, "Hey, there's not easy way to break this, but I'm not actually deaf or dumb." To which she replied with, "I know you're not deaf, but you are pretty dumb." At which point I said, "What the duck?" out loud. She then laughed and explained that she'd thought I was so cute that she googled me long ago and found my Instagram, which has highlighted stories from concerts where I'm screaming and vibing. So she only asked me out to figure out for how long I'd keep it going. So she was actually playing me the whole time. I was feeling pretty bummed that she only wanted to date me for that, but nevertheless I apologized profusely and showed her the Reddit post to explain myself. Best move ever. Thank you so much everyone in the comments who asked me to do this. She found the post funny and cute and adorable. I told her I totally understand if she wants to end the date now, but she didn't. We had a great time and aren't officially dating or anything, but we did set a second date for next Wednesday. She also told me that while she understands why I did what I did and that anxiety, especially social anxiety, is so hard to deal with, but she also believes that I was a little offensive, especially with the hearing aid. She explained to me why that was so insensitive, and I'd like to apologize for anyone I might have offended on here. It really wasn't my intention. Also, for our second date we are planning to volunteer at a center for deaf kids, so I can redeem myself. TIFU by thinking a woman was a boy and groping her boob. Kind of an SFW, though it happened at work. Obligatory. This actually happened a little over a year ago, and throw away because I don't want people on my main account to know what I do for a living. So, I work for the TSA, and have for a few years now. It's a good job overall. I'm underpaid, but the benefits are nice, and I get overtime when I want it. A little over a year ago, during the week leading up to Christmas, we had some really bad weather that delayed all the flights. I volunteered to stay late so that my coworkers could go home to their families. Most of the work was done anyway, so it was mostly just standing around waiting for the odd latecomer. I was working the space tube thingy, when 3 passengers came up together, a middle-aged man, a middle-aged woman, and a teenage boy. I figure it's a family traveling together for the holidays, and go about my work. Mom goes through, all is fine. Dad goes through, all is fine. Kid comes up, I get a good look at him. Hoodie, sweatpants, shortish hair, smooth face. I figure he's about 13, maybe 14. I hit the button, direct him to wait with me for a moment, and then gesture to the screen, which lit up on his chest area. I tell him that I have to pat that area down. He's a little nervous. I figure that, because he's so young, this is probably his first time getting a pat down, but he says okay, and I start the pat down. I do the left side of the chest, and feel some move, which catches me off guard, because he didn't look chubby at all. I move to the right side of the chest, read what's on the hoodie, and it all clicks at once. The hoodie has the name of the local college on it. This is an adult, not a child. He's not wearing sweatpants, she is wearing yoga pants. She doesn't even know the couple that just came through. I look at her face, which is bright red, my hand is still on her boob, and I pull it back like I just got bit by a snake. I immediately call for my supervisor, who comes over and asks what's wrong, and I explain the situation to her. My supervisor covers her mouth, and at first I thought she was absolutely mortified, but then I realized she's trying not to laugh. She takes a minute to pull herself together, tells me to go take a break, and finishes screening the passenger herself. Once that was done, I apologize to the passenger. She tells me it's fine, that it wasn't the first time she was mistaken for a boy, and she probably should have said something before I started touching her. I leave her alone and go talk to my supervisor to figure out exactly how fired I am. She tells me to calm down, that it was just an honest mistake, and that she has my back if the passenger files an official complaint, but that probably won't happen, and I shouldn't be worried. That reassured me a little, but I still groped a woman and ruined Christmas, so I feel like an absolute monster. I swallow my shame and finish my shift. Then I go into the airport proper to find some food, because I just finished a 12-hour shift, and there's no way I have the energy to cook dinner. I saw my hapless victim sitting at her gate, waiting for her flight. I went up to her to apologize again, and saw that the flight had been delayed until morning. It was about 11 at night. I apologize again. She says it's fine, and I ask her if she's planning to stay the whole night. She says she has to. All the hotels in the area are booked. I tell her that I'm getting some dinner and offer to get her some food as well. After all, I already got to second base. I think it's only fair that I buy her dinner. She agrees, and we go to one of the restaurants that is open late, get some food, and start eating. She said she gets mistaken for a boy a lot, and it's not a big deal. I told her about how I had long hair and no beard in college, and at the gym people would frequently walk into the men's bathroom, see me, and do a double take to make sure they didn't walk into the ladies' room. She laughed, and we ended up talking for a few hours before I finally told her that I had to get home and apologized again for the accidental molestation. She said that all is forgiven if I promise to take her on a real date when she gets back. I agreed. She gave me her phone number, and I went home and immediately started texting her. We kept talking until her flight finally left, and when she got back I picked her up at the airport and a few days later took her on that date that I promised her. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. She has long hair now. TLDR. Thought an adult woman was a teenage boy. Touched her on the boob. Everything worked out better than expected. I've been inappropriately touched on my butt by, like, 3 different TSA guys on 3 separate trips through Denver, and not once has any of them offered to buy me dinner. Gotta be honest, I feel a little left out.